Lionel Messi dominating the headlines everywhere with this breaking news that he has told the club he wants out, and it could be for free because it's going to be an extension of that out clause that we knew that he had earlier on in the season.
Yeah, I must admit it's too early to judge how that clause gets handled, how that works now, because we're only just getting this first bit of the news. This first bit of the news, which has come from very close to Messi, from Messi's camp, and they're saying that he says he wants to go and he wants to go now. And I guess, look, we don't know how this will play out. We don't know whether there will be a legal challenge on that attempt to go for free. We need to try and find that out. To be honest with you, it's too early to be able to, too early, at least from my point of view, to be able to stand that up for you. But yeah, we've just been, we knew there was a situation building. I don't think, to be honest, we quite expected it to end like this.
No, and that's the thing, Sid. How many times have we talked over the years about the possibility of maybe Messi going somewhere else? Now, it's going to happen.
It looks like it. Although, of course, how do you make this happen now? How does the mechanism work? And that's what I mean by we need to see how this gets managed, how his contract is rescinded, how that's brought to an end, and how this is worked through now. But it's a hell of a step. And obviously, we'll see if publicly Messi backs this up now, if he comes out and publicly says, yes, this is the case, yes, I want to go. Because, of course, once that becomes a public thing, rather than sources say, rather than from a player's camp, rather than all those things that footballers and their agents and their representatives use to hide behind very, very often, but to get the news out at the same time. Once it goes beyond that point and becomes public, then there is no turning back. So at that point, wow.
What a day it has been. Welcome into Extra Time. Thank you as always for your tweets. Stuart Robson and Frank Leboeuf still with us. Surprise, surprise, we've had quite a few tweets about Lionel Messi. With Messi on the verge of leaving Barcelona, don't you guys think it will be a risk for any club to take him with such big wages, kind of like Ronaldo-Juventus scenario, in which there may be too much focus on Messi and the team as a whole may just get worse, Robbo?
I'm not sure the team will get worse. Messi will be a great signing for anybody, as long as the other players fit around him and the manager knows what he's doing. I'm not sure he's going to be a good fit for Inter, because Conte has a particular system that he wants to play, and he's then got to try and shoehorn Messi into it. The only place that Messi could play would be up front, and I'm not sure that's his best position. I think he'd like to play slightly deeper, but Messi's an outstanding player. Does he make the team any better? It's touch and go whether he improves Man City. He'd certainly improve Inter, but not with Conte. Would he improve PSG? Well, they've got two big players there in Neymar and Messi. Who would take centre stage?
By Messi, how much do you believe this? How much do you think this is actually just a ruse from him to try and get his way?
Well, I think there must be a part of truth in that. We've known now for weeks and weeks, maybe months, that the main issue for Messi right now in Barcelona is Bartomeu and the board and his people. I don't think there's any secret in that. That all season, Messi has been very vocal about the hierarchy at the club and how Messi they've made that club. I think, and I've mentioned it many times on the show, I think Bartomeu has destroyed this club, has been destroying this club for the last 4 years. And I think maybe this season it was just too much. It was just too much for Messi. It was too much for other players as well. We saw how the season unfolded, especially after the restart, and everything went completely pear-shaped. And I think there's a part of truth in the sense that maybe if Bartomeu leaves and if he resigns with his board, then maybe Messi might decide to stay in the end.
He has been telling us now for some time that he's not happy. And I think for the first 10 years or so, the decade of Messi in Barcelona, we rarely heard from Lionel Messi. And now, over the last few years, it's been sort of incrementally, you have heard him speaking out more and more. And almost as if to say, guys, we better sort this out. We better get it right. Okay, I don't see the plan. I don't see the structure. What are we doing in the future? How is it that we're going to rebuild? Who's the decision maker? Who's making these decisions long-term, short-term? What players are we bringing in? Who's on the field? Who's going to help us off the field? Who's going to help us? And those questions have not been answered to his liking. And you can see then after the 8-2 result in which he said, you know what? Yeah, that's enough. I've been telling you for a long time. I've been talking, I've been speaking to the media, I've been saying things, I've been sending signals. You're not paying attention, I'm out.
TV3 in Spain reporting that Bartomeu, the president, is willing to resign if Messi comes out publicly and says that he'll stay. Jules, do you think that'll be enough?
It's a very good question. It'd be very interesting to see what Messi's reaction is. There's clearly people in this camp saying that it won't be enough, that his decision is final now, that he, regardless of what Bartomeu and the board can do, resign or not, he will not come back at the club. He doesn't want to play for the club anymore. I still think that Bartomeu is the problem anyway for Messi, and has been the problem for many years now, and that maybe if Bartomeu goes and say Victor Font comes in and bring his own people who maybe Messi wants to work with more than Bartomeu and his people, maybe if Xavi comes to the club as well, then we can build a lot of scenarios and things possible, but then maybe Messi may be tempted to stay and maybe convinced to stay by the new team at the top of the club. But from what his people are saying, it looks like even the resignation of Bartomeu might not be enough.
I just think, Seb, it's a shambles. I mean, I'm not quite sure actually what's going to happen. In my heart of hearts, I think Messi will end up staying at Barca for a million reasons or hundreds of millions of reasons, because who can actually afford him? What's the scenario with his contract? Do Barca demand anywhere between 200 and 700 million? Can he go in a free? That will probably end up in the law courts, which again is ridiculous and extremely messy. But I don't know. It's one of those. I don't think Inter and Juve can afford him. I think there's only two runners if Messi's seriously thinking about winning things, and that's what he's allegedly being quoted of saying. It's, one Champions League for him in 9 years is obviously not enough. So I would rule out probably China. He's probably got enough money and he wouldn't want that move. So there's only PSG and Man City to choose from. Now, it's all full of contradictions for the reasons that Julian and Frank have just said. If Messi is playing a poker move and he wants the current president out of Barcelona to bring in a new president who will then bring in potentially Xavi, who Messi will obviously want to work with, what on earth happens to Ronald Koeman? He's been there a matter of days. He hasn't even stepped foot on the training ground yet. Is he going to be removed if the new president then comes in a short period of time and Xavi then comes in? So I've got no idea what's going to happen.
Developments being reported in Catalonia that he will not turn up for the first day of pre-season on Monday. Ali, overall, this looks more and more likely that he will be leaving Barca. PSG and Manchester City, of course, both heavily linked. For you, where's the better fit?
Manchester City. And I just think everything just points in that direction. It's a team that is ready-made for a guy like Lionel Messi. And I just look at Messi and he has gone through an emotional time here and making not necessarily a business decision, but an emotional decision in thinking to himself, you know what, I've given this team plenty of opportunities and this board and this president plenty of chances to get this thing right. And I don't trust that they can do that now. And so I must go somewhere where I trust that they can do that job. And if you look at a club structure, if you look at decision making, if you look at direction, Manchester City seems to be the right choice for me. I think there's an element of trust in between Messi and Pep Guardiola from both sides, and as to what is expected of Lionel Messi and what is expected of Pep Guardiola as Messi comes into Manchester City. And there is a role for him in Manchester City that I think would be perfect for both Manchester City and the player. Lionel Messi seems to fit right in for Manchester City, and Manchester City would be very, very happy to have the best player of his generation right there in the final third, creating chances for others and creating chances for himself.
Gab, big story today surrounding Lionel Messi, the fact that his father met with the Barca board to try and resolve these issues.
That's right. His father arriving early on Wednesday morning, wasting no time, meeting with his other son Rodrigo and with the lawyers, and then later making his way over to meet with Bartomeu, the Barcelona president. The report states about between 90 minutes and 2 hours of meetings. He was quoted as saying afterwards in Argentina, saying, "Oh no, my son's going." Early indication is that neither side is budging from their positions. Jorge Messi reiterating that Lionel wants to leave Barcelona, and he's exercised his clause, so he doesn't expect there to be a transfer fee to be paid. Barcelona reiterating that he's still under contract until June 30th, 2021. And so the only way he's moving is if the club agree a transfer fee. And even according to reports again in Spain, suggesting that, hey, by the way, while you're here, can we discuss a 2-year extension to Leo's contract? Now, I think that would have been a little bit cheeky. I think what we can take for certain is that this isn't the end of the Jorge v. Bartomeu meetings.
Yeah, this is it, Gab, isn't it? There's going to be no quick resolution. We're going to be here this time next month having pretty much the same discussion.
Well, look, this is the thing, right? Because there's a third element to this, which is, there have been other reports suggesting that Manchester City are kind of backing, if you will, Jorge Messi and saying, look, we don't want to pay, we would never pay a transfer fee because he's a free agent. Why would we? But it is self-destructive. People have talked about, going to the courts and taking legal action and this and that. The reality is, if it goes to the courts, you could see a situation where for 2 or 3 months, Lionel Messi does not play football until the situation is resolved. That doesn't help Lionel Messi, even if later the courts say that he's right and he is released and he can move. It's not going to help him missing half a season at his age. And equally, if the courts say, no, he's got to stay in Barcelona, in some ways that's even worse because that's the ultimate Pyrrhic victory because Barcelona get an unhappy Messi back halfway through the season and he's still going to walk as a free agent in June. So it's in everybody's interest to reach some sort of resolution here.
One thing I would say is if they do try and pursue this freedom of contract, end of contract resolution, clearly it will become a huge legal battle. Now, we know anyway that those normally take months and months, if not years. But think about it, there is already a backlog in court cases across the board, particularly in the harder hit countries with the COVID-19. Because a lot of these countries, even the most important parts of the country were having to shut down for certain periods. So everything is at a backlog. And we know already how long legal cases like this can take. You throw in the shutdown from the pandemic, and we could be looking at, maybe not months, but well over a year.
There are suggestions that this meeting might have been productive and Messi might now be staying.
Well, above all, there are suggestions that Messi and his dad have reached a decision. They met, they finished meeting around lunchtime. Messi's father was seen leaving Messi's house in Castelldefels, outside Barcelona near the beach. And so the big question on everybody's mind is, what is that decision? Late yesterday, Argentine media, same Argentine media who originally reported that Messi had given notice to Barcelona, now suggesting that there's been a change of heart, that they want to avoid a legal battle, and that 90% they're likely to stay and see out the contract, which of course expires on June 30th, 2021.
You can get away with having problems off the field. You can get away with that on the field for a certain amount of time, but you can't do it just game in, week out, every time you go into training. It affects everybody. I don't care how strong mentally you are. If you don't have a settled life outside of the actual game itself or playing the game, then you will be affected, and that means that you won't perform properly. And Messi and Barcelona can't not have him performing. And if he's forced to come and stay for the rest of the year, the rest of the season, see out that final year, you won't see the Lionel Messi that we know and love. And Barcelona won't. And it might end up tarnishing his reputation a little bit, because people will be wondering where the real Messi is, and they won't be able to see it.
So after all that fuss, Lionel Messi is staying put at Barcelona after all. Alex Kirkland joining me now from Spain. Alex, what are your initial thoughts on this turn of events?
I mean, we've learned not to be surprised by anything anymore, haven't we? It's been an absolutely incredible, 10 days now since news first broke that Lionel Messi wanted to leave Barcelona for free. I don't know about you, but I think now this whole thing looks like a huge miscalculation on on Messi's part. What's he achieved after all of this noise and fuss and drama? Well, he's achieved absolutely nothing, because he's staying. He's going to be there for another season until 2021, which is when his contract ran out anyway. I think you have to question some of the advice that he's been getting. I mean, if you're the best player in the world, you should really be getting the best legal advice and the best advice from your management team. And it's hard to think that he's got that. I mean, is this the final proof that you really shouldn't have your dad as your agent? I don't know. But I think looking at this, you'd have to say the answer is probably yes.
What's staggering here is that Messi has laid it on the line. If anybody was pottering around when this news came out that he was staying and had an inkling that it was all patched up, well, just listen to what you and Sid were talking about. It is not. And the way Messi laid it out, the whole period of informing Bartomeu, the club knew that I wanted to leave. The club knew the situation that I was in and they were in. It smells to me that from Barcelona's perspective and the president, Dan, this was nothing less than a betrayal of the best player in the world, a betrayal of his captain, and a betrayal of an individual who clearly and made it clear to the club and to the president that he wanted to go. Now, I know you said the question about, well, why didn't he do it earlier within that time frame? And it harks back to the fact, could you imagine if this had become public, that Messi was going when the season was still going on? And that's a key point. The season was still going on. If he makes this public and then they are humiliated as they were by Bayern Munich, he carries the can for everything, because now he's derailed Barcelona's season by making this announcement. He's upset the apple cart. He's upset the players. He's not focused. And so you can understand why Messi tried to keep this under wraps the way he did, but still informing the club that he was intending to leave as per his contract. This is skullduggery, in my opinion, of the highest order.
Don, you were on this show saying that it's not going to happen, this is all a game of bluff. It's more than that, though. It's much more than that, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think the fact that when I watched Messi speak tonight, it was a hard watch, especially when he was talking about his family and he had the conversation with his kids and his wife. And he said his kids were in tears because they didn't want to leave Barcelona, and it was a brutal conversation. That then takes it to a whole new level where you're listening to the words that he's saying. I mean, I didn't think he'd come out of it amazing when he was saying, as Craig alluded to before, when he's been wanting to leave for a long time. I mean, listen, if that's anyone else, by the way, they would get absolutely battered. And we're talking about the best player of all time in the history of the game. And as Sid said before, Philip Coutinho was the big news 3.5 hours after the whole story broke, which is absolutely crazy. But my gut feeling from the very start, Dan, is I think it was a power play by Lionel Messi, and it has been going on for quite a while because he's seen it unfolding. He's seen the dressing room get weaker. The signings that have come in have been nowhere near good enough to challenge for La Liga and European honours. And I think it's a power play to get the current president gone. That leaves Ronald Koeman probably with a year's contract before then Xavi then comes in.
Maria Bartomeu, Barcelona's president, is no more Barcelona's president. That thing that you can hear is probably a cheer from Lionel Messi and Gerard Piqué and the likes, because, Augie, this was inevitable, wasn't it?
Well, it seemed to be inevitable. It's taken its time, hasn't it, to get to this stage. But I think, from the moment that Lionel Messi threatened to leave in the summer and then he ultimately stayed but was so critical of Bartomeu and his statement to the interview that he gave, it was fairly obvious that it was either Messi that was going to go eventually or Bartomeu. And, there's not only one winner in that kind of battle, it's Lionel Messi. So for Messi, it's a big victory. It gives him the pathway to maybe stay at Barcelona, to negotiate a new contract without Bartomeu there, because obviously Bartomeu was a big roadblock to Messi staying. So with no Bartomeu and a presidential election likely, I think, within the next 90 days, it gives Lionel Messi the chance not only to stay beyond the end of this season, but this could be Lionel Messi staying at Barca for the rest of his career, but for life, because I'd imagine the new president will come in And the one that will win will be the one that stands on a platform and saying he wants to keep Lionel Messi at the club.
He joined a club in big trouble, where Messi had an opinion on everything. He is both an emperor and a monarch, and he didn't see Antoine's arrival with a favourable eye. His attitude was deplorable, and he made him feel it. I always heard Antoine saying he had no problems with Messi, but never the other way round. It's a regime of fear. Either you are with him or you're against him. He is as good on the pitch as he is bad off it. Wow. Quite strong stuff then. Jules, this is authentic, this is real.
Yeah, it is really. It's an interview in France Football. They did a long piece on Griezmann and the struggle that he's had at Barcelona and what he should do or what he could do to make things better. So they had a lot of people invited to talk. Emmanuel Petit, for example, who himself was a Barcelona player in the past, struggled to adapt there, struggled to be adopted by the dressing room, a bit like what Griezmann is going through. You had plenty of other people, and you had Eric Olaz, who obviously played a huge part in Griezmann's career, not so much anymore. They're not that close anymore. Who, as you said, has strong words about Messi. The only thing I struggle about that is that we almost 18 months since Griezmann has arrived. I think we can see now that things are a bit different than when he arrived, and his relationship with Messi looks certainly better now than it was 18 months ago. And I think it's no secret for anyone that at the beginning there was not much of a relationship between Griezmann and Messi anyway. I think Messi is a very different kind of teammate that you can have because he's just so good and such a genius that I think it takes a bit of time for anyone, to get used to playing with him, for him to get used to you, maybe for him to adopt you in that dressing room, to sort of welcome you and things like that. I just think that 18 months on, I'm not sure what Eric Olaz said is still off date now. I think maybe that was the case 18 months ago, not so much now.
555,273,619 euros, and was apparently how much his contract was worth when he signed it back in 2017. That, by the way, is with all the bonuses included. It's hardly anything without the bonuses. Shaka, let's welcome in, shall we? Julien Laurent is with us, as is Ali Moreno. Jules, this can't be a coincidence, can it? Let's not forget, we've spent most of this week talking about the financial problems Barcelona are in and how they could be facing serious ramifications in the future. So it just so happens that somebody leaks the contract that pretty much says, look, the reason why we're in all this financial turmoil is because we're paying this man all this money.
Yes, you're right, and I think that's why Leo Messi and his family, his entourage, are thinking about maybe suing some people at the club, whether that's Tusquets, the current interim president, whether that's Bartomeu and his team before, because clearly this comes from the inside and they know it. Someone leaked that to El Mundo. Listen, from what the WikiLeaks told us, 3 years ago now, 2.5 years ago, it's not much different to what we knew already, how much more or less he was on. But however, when you see those numbers written now on black and white, it's like, wow, okay. But that's not the reason why Barca are in so much trouble. Of course, Messi money is huge, but they've got other players on a lot of wages that are nowhere near as good as Leo Messi and don't provide as much in terms of result and goals and assists, etc. than Leo Messi. The problem is also somewhere else that the wage bill is 76% of the budget.
Joan Laporta voted in today, back after his 7-year reign from 2003 to 2010. He's welcoming Gab Marcotti to the show. Gab, what is the significance of this?
Well, it's significant because in some ways, depending who you choose to believe, of course, Laporta was there when Barcelona were restored to glory, when they won the European Cup back in 2006, and obviously he was there when the whole Pep Guardiola movement started with Messi. Although it didn't necessarily end well, it didn't necessarily end well with the relationship between him and Messi either wasn't necessarily optimal. Certainly not great with Pep, some people say. But I think in some ways it's a choice of kind of going back to the past and hoping this will help things calm down at the club.
This is what Joan Laporta had to say, the Barca president. The club's in a worse state than I expected, and I know I was coming into a difficult situation. Between salaries and the big word, it's about 650 million euros, which is more than the club's revenue. These salaries are out of step with the current market. So what do, Barcelona? Well, they bring in Depay, they bring in Kun Aguero. They are still set to announce whether or not Lionel Messi is going to stay. Gab, this doesn't look tenable.
Well, yeah, look, they bring in Aguero and Depay on free transfers. That would be their argument. Certainly, it's not tenable. You need to raise some money through sales. I know you guys have been through the list of how many bodies they have in the front three, but forget Messi, leave him to one side. But in addition to the two that you already mentioned, you're also talking Trincao, you're talking Braithwaite, you're talking Griezmann, you're talking Ansu Fati, you're talking Dembele, you're talking Coutinho. You know, you're only going to play with three dudes up front. You know, what do the other guys do? And you can say, well, I'm going to sell them, but they're all in enormous money, most of them. Yeah. So they're really difficult to sell. Their most saleable assets are probably, you know, Trincao, something like Ansu Fati, but he's coming off an injury, and you don't want to sell him anyway. So it's a really, really tough spot.
I kind of see where you're coming from, because say he does take that pay cut and they're worse off next season, then what's he going to be looking at in terms of his options?
But he'll be looking at Aguero, he'll be looking at Depay coming in. He might think there's a bit of excitement.
I don't know. I feel like within those sort of top two, Ronaldo, Messi and so on, the talk has never been about taking pay cuts, you know, especially something which is to sort of half your money. You could maybe try and turn it into something else and have this option or that option, or have this here, have that there, but I don't know, we're talking about...
Dare say he can pull some revenue in though.
Yeah, but we're talking...
This is a guy, right, who got absolutely stabbed in the back by the club not that long ago.
A different president, though, to be fair. You could argue that. There's a new board, there are new people in charge.
I don't see why he should. I don't see why he would. If it's me, the first thing that comes to my mind is, hold on a second. This is the club, whether it's a new president, an old president, this is a club that absolutely made a mug of me.
What is the latest on this situation? Do you think that Lionel Messi is sticking around at Barcelona, and is that new deal imminent?
Well, finger crossed. I mean, I know Lionel Messi for many years, and I think he's been at Barcelona for his whole life. I know there's not a better place for Leo to go, and hopefully he signed a new deal. Hopefully he stay at Barcelona. His family is so settled in the city. So hopefully we have a good news next week.
Understandably, before all this had gone on, there were reports that Lionel Messi wanted reassurances of players that were coming in and the ambition of the club. Obviously, he'll want to continue to win the big things. He'll want to go back to the winning ways in the Champions League and in La Liga. Do you think that with the new signings that they're making, they'll be able to do that?
Well, he's a winner. I know that all the big players, they always want to play to win big trophies. And I know it's been a lot of frustration for Leo Messi in the last few years at Barcelona. Also off the field, been really difficult. But I'm sure that what Messi's waiting now is just to make sure that the club make a few good signings. To make sure that the team again looks strong.
Gemma Soler joins the show once again. Shock, I know. We're going to start by talking about Lionel Messi, who of course supposed to be at training. He's still in Ibiza, sunning himself. We see him on Instagram, enjoying life at the moment. What's the latest?
Lucky him. Hola, Dan. Yeah. Well, the latest is that he's with a swimsuit and not with the Barcelona t-shirt training himself. Is it true that he's staying at his own hotel in Ibiza, so he's training by himself? But the simile is like, for example, if you, Dan, are waiting for your renewal contract with ESPN, you know La Liga is starting on the 13th of August, but you, instead of presenting the previous shows and doing everything you do, as you don't have the contract, you are in Ibiza or in Mallorca or anywhere in Spain waiting for that contract to happen. So that's the situation. He was supposed to come back yesterday to Barcelona and start training, but the contract is not ready. They are still trying to balance the books, so he's still on holidays.
Is there any chance we could be in the situation that we've discussed earlier in the summer, that they're not going to be able to balance the books in time and he's going to stay in Ibiza till January?
of course, the possibility is there. It's difficult to balance the books, and even La Liga are desperate trying to keep Messi. They cannot do anything wrong with the rules, with the fair play, the financial fair play. So there is a possibility, but I have to say that the message that we, as the journalists, receive from the club is of calm. It's just a bureaucratic matter, and actually the last of this history, Barcelona are always playing their own friendly trophy. Is the Joan Gamper is being played this Sunday, and people are very near Leo Messi say that he's the captain. He won't be playing against Juventus.
This was the statement that was attached to that. Despite FC Barcelona and Lionel Messi having reached an agreement and the clear intention of both parties to sign a new contract today, this cannot happen because of Spanish La Liga regulations on player registration. As a result of this situation, Messi shall not be staying on at FC Barcelona. Both parties deeply regret that the wishes of the players and the club will ultimately not be fulfilled. FC Barcelona wholeheartedly expresses its gratitude to the player for his contribution to the aggrandizement of the club and wishes him all the very best for the future in his personal and professional life. Some Spanglish there to start us off. Gab, as someone who's not surprised by much, you were surprised by this?
I was surprised by it at first because I told myself, wait a minute, you knew what the salary cap was. You've been talking to Messi. You've been saying for months that this is your number one priority is getting him signed. So you knew how much he wanted. You knew what he could afford. You ended up committing north of 50 million in US dollars on wages and 9 million euros for Emerson, and then the wages of Eric Garcia and Aguero and Memphis Depay. Did you do your sums wrong? I mean, that floored me. But then I looked at it a little bit closer, and already the reports are coming out. This is basically a power play. There's a lot more that's going on here. It has to do with the deal that was struck between Javier Tebas, the chief of La Liga, and CVC Capital Partners, which is a private equity group, which has agreed in principle, although it has yet to be approved by the clubs, a deal whereby they get 10% of Liga revenues in exchange for injecting around $3.2 billion in La Liga. Probably has a little bit to do with the Super League as well. Maybe has a little bit to do with Laporta basically saying, okay, yeah, look, Messi is really important to La Liga. You have all these grand plans. Even if we're out a little bit relative to the salary cap, you got to meet us halfway, dude. You got to help us out. You got to be a little bit flexible here. That was my first reaction. It's a lot easier to blame Tebas and La Liga than it is maybe to suggest that you got your sums wrong or you couldn't get a deal done with Lionel Messi.
I mean, the weird thing for me, obviously, is Italian. And first of all, let me say off the top, I believe it when I see it, that Lionel Messi is no longer with Barcelona playing in some other shirt. That being said, surely, while Messi's been away at Copa America and on holidays, the club have been having discussions with his representatives. It's not as though they really were waiting for him to come back to flush this out, to have the final say. They knew this was going on for quite some time. They knew this was a possibility while they're signing the likes of Aguero and Depay, as Gab mentioned. What this highlights to me is, again, how poorly Barcelona are run as a club. The debt that they're carrying in excess of 1 billion euros, their wages outstrip revenues. And now this, with Messi, the crown jewel in that football club's crown. How does this happen? How does this drag out all summer long, and within 24 hours of him arriving back in Catalonia, this bombshell of news? And it really is farcical when you think that we are talking about one of the greatest players of all time and one of the great clubs of world football.
It's quite disappointing to sit here now and think it's all potentially a power play.
Right.
From a football perspective, I think it is, because he has served that club magnificently, of course, and a lot of people, myself included, would have quite liked to see him, or like to have seen him or see him go somewhere else and ply his trade somewhere else. That's not to say
West Ham? You want to see him go
quite.
to West Ham?
That's not to say that staying at Barca is not the right thing for him, but I think a lot of people would like to see him go and have a fresh challenge. And I was kind of thinking, well, this is it. But obviously there are a lot of things underneath that we don't quite know about.
Gab, just to all in layman's terms, basically, in La Liga, every club has got a certain amount of salary which they can spend on players. Barcelona, as Shaka said, has exceeded that. And the hope was that they would basically give Barcelona some leeway in offering Lionel Messi a new contract because Messi is very much the poster boy of La Liga. So it's basically a massive standoff. Is that right? Between La Liga and between Barcelona. Barcelona saying, look, if you want La Liga to be a success, you need Messi. And La Liga saying, look, everyone's got to live under these same rules. You've got to abide by them. You've got to get rid of him. Is that where we stand? And is it all going to be down to La Liga whether or not they're going to cave?
I think, well, to answer your first question, yeah, I think you photographed it correctly. The salary cap is based on projected revenues and costs and whatnot. But you kind of know what it is ahead of time, right? Going into the summer, you can still sell players, but it's difficult for Barcelona to sell their players, as we know, because they all make too much money. But that's the idea. And so one way this gets resolved is that Tebas looks around and says, well, wait a minute, I can't afford to lose Lionel Messi because people pay a lot of money for Liga rights, including this network. And without Lionel Messi, it's just not as valuable. And maybe CVC Capital Partners also get cold feet. Wait, we're giving you 3.2 billion, but we want Messi to be part of it. That's certainly one reading of it. That seems to me to be the most obvious reading, the most pro-Laporta reading, if you will, where Laporta sits down with Messi's agent, who also happens to be his dad, and says, hey, don't worry about it. We got this all agreed. We're going to go and scare Javier Tebas. And he's going to cave. That's the most obvious reading. But I think it goes beyond that. They might want to blow up the CVC deal because ultimately, longer term, it means Real Madrid and Barcelona giving up a lot of control, not just to La Liga, but to CVC Capital Partners as well, to an external investment group who going to have all sorts of covenants on what they do. And then there's a third possibility, which is, as sometimes happens, you agree a deal, but then it comes down to sign the papers and say, hey, by the way, it's going to cost you an extra million here, an extra million there. So those are kind of the three scenarios. We don't know, but tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock local time, Joan Laporta will be addressing the media, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more clarity. But you know what? I wouldn't hold my breath.
Okay, so let's just say he leaves, that this is done, that whatever is going on sees him leave Barcelona. According to the bookies, Jules, PSG is the most likely of destinations. First off, if PSG wanted this to happen, could they make it happen?
They certainly believe that they could, yes. They've been working on a potential offer, let's call it that way, for weeks now. We've mentioned it many times on the show. They never believed that he would leave Barcelona, but just in case, to be ready if that day happened, and that day could be today, then they wanted to be ready and to be able to offer Messi something. We know that the contact between the Messi family and PSG has always been on. And certainly they believe that they would have enough, especially this summer when financial fair play is on holidays, let's put it that way, that this could be the time that you could keep Neymar, who's already extended his contract, that you can still have Mbappe probably for the last year, and then add Messi to your squad, to your roster, and that they could make this work. I've always been skeptical in terms of numbers, that they could afford all of them, and now you also have to add Wijnaldum and Donnarumma and Sergio Ramos, their wages, their transfer fees for Hakimi, his wages as well. So they will also have to sell, which is all part of the same plan. But certainly, although right now I'm being told they still believe he will stay and that this is all a big bluff, they seem to be ready potentially to make him an offer. And right now I can only see them being able to afford him.
Gab, have you had a good après-ski? Why are you giggling so much?
No, I just looked at the list of potential destinations. It's all the familiar names, and then I see Inter Milan, and I'm thinking to myself, wait, is this the only scenario? I think, unless there's something I don't know, even if Lukaku leaves, the only scenario I think in which Messi moves to Inter is the one where Messi goes and buys the club from Suning and installs himself there. I genuinely, that really would be, or he goes there and reveals he's been an Inter fan all along.
I've said this several times. I said that we would do everything possible for Messi to stay at Barca within the economical situation of the club. And we reached an agreement with Messi, but we weren't able to formalize it because of the economical situation that the club is going through, which means that we can't inscribe the player under that agreement because of the salary limit.
El hecho de culpables aquí, bueno,
Are there,
evidentemente ya tampoco me gusta estar
is anyone guilty of this situation?
que hemos recibido, porque sí
I
que
mean, I don't want to go on and on about the inheritance and the
Alfredo, no hemos tenido 6 meses.
awful decisions that were made in the past, but we haven't had 6 months. We've had less because the audit numbers have just come out. One thing is the numbers that were presented to us initially, but now we've realized that the situation is even worse than we expected.
Entonces, ahí qué pasa, que hemos pasado de Guatemala a Guatepeor. Y además nos hemos
So we've gone from bad to worse.
la constatación de esto con las primeras conclusiones de la auditoría.
The first conclusions of the audit confirm that.
Hombre, progresa adecuadamente. ¿Por qué? Porque parece que la liga va a
I had said that the negotiations were going well because it did seem like La Liga was going to be more flexible with fair play, and the player, Messi, has behaved in excellent manner.
llegar al acuerdo
And
económico.
we reached an economical agreement.
El jugador se ha prestado en todo momento a hacer las cosas fáciles.
The players always made it easier for us.
Bueno, el acuerdo, por eso progresaba adecuadamente. Estábamos esperando el
So that's why we were saying that things were going well.
para que haya fair play nos piden esto, no puede ser. Para que
But at one point we needed to say enough and say, in order to have fair play, we need to do this. Or we need to make a great bigger effort that will put the club at risk.
es que no se puede seguir con esto.
And the answer is that we couldn't keep going with this. And we needed to make a decision. And that's what we did.
Usted tiene buen feeling con Leo Messi, siempre lo ha admitido, se le ha visto muchas
You've always said that you have a good feeling with Leo Messi, a good relationship with him.
días. Ya sabía que era prácticamente imposible inscribir a Leo
You
Messi.
said
No sé si ha tenido la
just a few moments ago that you said that 2 days ago you knew that this would be the final decision. Have you had a chance to talk to Leo?
Bueno, a ver, Leo quería quedarse, por lo tanto,
Leo wanted to stay,
no está contento.
so he's not happy.
Todos teníamos la intención y las ganas de que se quedara,
We all wanted him to stay,
pero él ahora pues también se enfrenta como nosotros a
but
la realidad.
for him right now it's a situation in which he has to confront reality. It's a reality that can't be changed,
Yo lo que sí que ya sabe él y su familia que
and he knows that I wish him the best wherever he goes,
Barça es su casa.
him and his family, and Barca is his home.
El palmarés del club como nadie y
He's
el Barça es su
enlarged this club's trophy list and will always be thankful.
Si no es menys,
If the club received a phone call saying that what they ask is less than what they've said, would Leo be able to wear Barca's shirt next season? Those are all hypothetical situations. They're not real as of today. And if I'm here today, it's not because of what may or may not happen. I would have wanted to be here with Leo today, and it was the dream of every culé.
hem de viure de realitats també.
But we have to live in the real world. I like to dream,
Malauradament hem de viure de realitats, sí.
but we have to live in the reality, and this is what happens.
I want to ask you, in these recent days, in the recent hours, everyone's a bit in shock, everyone in the press. So my question is this: when you got back from Ibiza, you came to Barcelona and you thought everything was going to be okay. You thought you were going to renew your contract with Barca. And then what happened? What's your version of all this? Yeah, this is what Laporta said. Right up until the last minute, because of everything with the league, it suddenly couldn't happen. There's nothing more to tell. And anything else I can't say.
De Catalunya Ràdio en directe al Tot Costa. A mi m'agradaria saber, l'altre dia el president Laporta va dir...
I'd like to know...
Si els últims dies...
Laporta said the other day that the club's above everything, but recently Barca have shown that everything is for you. What are your thoughts on this? I don't know. What's clear is that I did everything possible. The club, Laporta, they couldn't do it because of La Liga. But I've heard a lot of things that have said about me that I didn't want to continue, but on my behalf as well, we did everything we could because I wanted to stay. Last year I didn't want to stay and I said it, and this year I wanted to stay and I couldn't. Congratulations on your career, good luck for wherever you're going. I want to ask you about that. Paris Saint-Germain is the name that's come up most of everything. Where are you going? Where are you going to play next season? Well, that's honestly one possibility to reach those heights. At the minute, I've got nothing confirmed with anybody. Honestly, when the press release was published, I had a lot of calls, a lot of clubs that are interested. At the minute, I've not got anything closed, but we're talking about a lot of things.
Yes, that's right. So on Sunday, we knew there was an agreement already. In principle, if you want, there were still a few details to be sorted out, especially on image rights, which was the biggest chunk of this 2-year contract, 2 year plus 1 in option that both parties can trigger because it's Leo Messi, because he's one of the greatest ever. Those contracts, the contract was always going to be a bit complicated to do, but now it's all agreed. It's all going to be signed off later today. Once he's in Paris, once he's passed his medical, he's flying as we're recording this right now with his family on his private jet. He would then go to do his medical at the American hospital in Neuilly, which is in the west suburbs of the capital. And from there, it's a really short drive to the Parc des Princes, where already a lot of fans are waiting for him, just opposite the PSG shop as well, where a lot of fans have been going in today saying, can we get Messi's shirt? And they're not authorized yet to sell the Messi shirt with his number. We're actually not sure exactly what number is going to be, either 30 or 19, because Neymar offered to give him his number 10 and Messi declined politely, so he would not wear the number 10, but probably 19 or 30. And then after that, he will be having a press conference with us, the media from all around the world, and then should be presented to the crowd on Saturday in their home game against Strasbourg. Yes, it's a 2-year deal with an extra year in option. For the salary, we're not really sure exactly yet. I think it would be around the 30 million euro net a season, all in all, with the bonuses included for winning the Champions League, for winning the Ballon d'Or. All of that was also agreed and discussed at length with Jorge Messi, his father, and all the lawyers. It was a big affair. There was a lot of people involved. That's why as well it took slightly longer than I think what we anticipated on Sunday afternoon, where the first agreement was struck. So it was always going to take time. This is not a contract that you do easily like this. But yeah, 2 + 1, around the 30-35 million euros net a year for Leo Messi, who's 34, just turned 34 in June. And surely that's his last big contract, certainly in Europe. So the plan right now that he discussed with Pochettino on that big phone call that they had together on Friday, and the fitness program that the club has put together, is probably for him to make his debut at the end of the month, at the end of August, the weekend of the 29th, 30th, they will play against Reims. That's the most likely date, although that could be earlier because he stayed fit during his holidays. So he might be fit quicker, and then you can bring it forward to a week and play against Brest. I don't think that would be the case on Saturday against Strasbourg. That would be too early. but he should be presented to the crowd. And we have full stadium capacity now in France for the football matches. So he will be shown to the fan on Saturday. We'll have to wait maybe another couple of weeks before he makes his debut. And home debut should be after the international break, after September. And then I guess his big first game in Ligue 1 will be against Lyon in mid-September. Yeah, the big question now is where do you play him, how you play him. We saw at Barcelona that he was playing a bit more centrally last season, so he could be playing off Kylian Mbappe as a second striker if you want, or number 10 just behind Mbappe with Neymar on the left and then Di Maria on the right, which would be a very attacking lineup. He could also play on the right-hand side with Hakimi behind him and having that sort of Dani Alves-Messi connection that we saw at Barcelona reunited in Paris with Hakimi, for example, and then three midfielders behind him. His best friend, one of his best friends, is obviously Neymar, so that link-up play would be there after the time in Barcelona. Another one is Angel Di Maria, and they would love to play with each other. There's the question about Mbappe. How will they click? Will they click quickly? But you can just imagine that all those great players playing together would be pretty sensational from minute one. So a lot of excitement. Is down to Pochettino to find the right formula, of course. But when you've got all that talent, it should not take too long.
Good morning. First of all, I want to thank the President for his words. I'm very happy. You all know how was my exit from Barcelona. It's been a very hard moment. After so many years, it was a difficult change. After so many time. But the moment I arrived here, I felt very happy. And I really want to begin the training sessions. I really want it to be quick. I'm really enjoying my time in Paris since the first minute. My family, my people. But really, my only will now is to begin the training sessions. I want to work with the staff and with my teammates and begin this new moment of my life. I really want to thank the President and Leonardo and the whole club for the way they received me since the first day after the press release in Barcelona. And they really were quick in the negotiations, and it's been quite easy, actually. It was a very tricky situation, and they really solved problems. It was not easy, and they did it well, so really thank you for that. I repeat, but I'm very happy to be here, and I have this will to play. I'm really impatient. I still want to play. I still want to win, as I wanted at the first moment of my career. And with this club, the staff, I think this club is really ready to fight for all the trophies. This is my goal. I want to keep growing, keep winning titles, and that's why I come here to this club. I hope we can make it happen. I really want to thank Paris, and it's been all crazy, my arrival. It was a surprise. So thank you again for the way they received me, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy the time with this team, and we are going to fight for the aim of the club. I really want to begin now, and thanks again to the President, to Leonardo, and thanks PSG, and thank you for having me here, and I want to begin now. Thank you. Let's go through some questions and answers. Good evening, Lionel. Hola. AFP, how do you feel playing alongside Messi and Mbappe? It's really crazy, and I'm really happy about that. sharing the day-to-day life with them, with all the squad. Really, there are some transfers, amazing transfers, so the team is incredible, and I really want to train and compete now because I'm going to be playing with the best players. It's very nice. It's an incredible experience to be able to enjoy this. Hi, Leo. From Le Parisien. Welcome to Paris. When do you think you will be able to play your first minutes in the French Championship? Actually, I don't know. I was on holidays and it's very new, so I spoke yesterday with the technical staff, so maybe I need a pre-season myself. I'm going to begin to train and work, and I hope I can play as soon as I can. I really want to, but I can't answer exactly to your question. When I feel it, when the staff thinks I'm okay, well, then I'll be ready and willing to play. Good morning, Leo, for the newspaper L'Équipe. You said you were very sad about leaving Barca and the joy about arriving here in PSG. So today, what's the strongest feeling? The joy, the sadness? Everything that happened to me this last week has been very strange. It's been hard. It's been quick. It's been emotional. I can't forget what I lived and experienced in Barcelona, but I really, really feel impatient and happy about this new life at sport level and with my family as well. I'm very happy. This whole week I've been going through up and downs, but we are processing all of this every day, little by little. Every day we are processing. Hi, Leo, Al Jazeera, presidents. We know that here it's Paris, and we know that the dream of Paris is dreaming bigger every day. What are the limits of this? Leo, welcome. You've seen that the people from Paris have been waiting for you for 3 days. Some fans were at the Le Bourget airport for so many times. What's the message you sent to the fans in France? As I said, I'm really grateful. I'm grateful to the people in the street. I was in Barcelona when the press told about that, and I've seen things from there, from Spain, and the people was already outside, and it was incredible to see them outside in the streets. And so I'm really grateful, and I want to thank them, and I really want to see them now, to see them in the city, in the stadium. So it will be an incredible year, and we are going to enjoy all of this.
Buenos días, Leo. Antonio Torres de la agencia EFE.
Good evening. FA agency, you've already won 4 Champions League. What do you need? What does a team need to win the Champions League? It's not easy. Sometimes you can have the best team in the world and you don't win the Champions League. This is football. And sometimes the margins, the details, for some details you can be knocked out. Paris knows it perfectly. They've been so close to a victory in Champions League, but they couldn't make it. But it was very close. In this competition, the best teams are playing. It's very difficult to win it. So you need a very united squad, a group. This dressing room, for what you can see from outside, is very united, but you also need the luck. But you can also chase the luck. In Champions League, there is not always the best team wins. It's a very special competition. And that's why it's so beautiful and so important, because they all want to win. We all want to win this competition. Good morning, Leo. InfoSport Plus and Canal Plus. What does PSG represent for you, and how can you bring your experience and precedence with Leo Messi in PSG? Do you think you are now the favorites, #1 for the Champions League? Well, I think this team is already done and ready, and there are some new transfers, but they've been very close to win the Champions and they are ready. I just come here to help. I'll try to give my best with my illusion. My goal and my dream is to win again this trophy. And I think that Paris is the best place to have a chance to win it again. Hola. Hi, Leo. I'll try to ask in Spanish. 4 years ago, when Neymar arrived here, it was quite crazy, and now the club has got another dimension. Is it one of the reasons you choose Paris Saint-Germain, because of the dimension? And what the importance of the intervention of Neymar in your decision? Was it important to discuss with him? Of course, I've got some friends here in the dressing room. When you see the squad, you really want to play with them, because there are so many possibilities to get what you want. We've got the same goals. When we were not together, we had the same goal, and now that we are together with Neymar and the rest of the team, I hope we can make it. Di Maria, Paredes, all these players. I know all the teammates in the dressing room, actually, and we had contact, and Neymar, of course, did a lot and was important in my election. For Europe, you could play in Champions League against the French squads, but what do you know about French football? Do you know the clubs? It will be a new experience for you. Do you know some of the teams? Do you know the players? And do you know the internal rivalries between clubs in France? Yes, of course. Of course, I've been following this, and I've got friends, so I know Ligue 1 because of my friends in Paris. I was following their games, and I think this championship has been growing a lot. And Paris has worked a lot for the Ligue 1 growing up because of the transfers and so on. And I think the league is more competitive, and all the teams are getting stronger because they want to win against Paris and want to win the Ligue 1. So it will be a new experience for me. I will have a new rivals and new stadiums, and I'm very happy to experience all this new atmosphere. Congratulations, Leo, on your signing. I'm happy to see you smile today, because it was different in Barcelona a few days ago. What would you say to the hinchas, the fans in Barcelona, because they are really sad because of your exit? they don't want Barcelona to play against you in Champions. Would you like to avoid as well such a game? And what would you say to the fans that are very sad today? Of course, it was very complicated to exit Barcelona without knowing where I was going to go. Barcelona is my home. I've been there since I was a kid. I've lived so many things there, good things and bad things. They knew I was going to arrive in a very, very strong team, and a team who was aiming to win the Champions League. I love to win. I want to have important goals. I know that my goals and Paris' goals are the same, and we want to be bigger and bigger. I don't know if we're going to play and to face each other, Barcelona and Paris. It would be very nice to go back to Barcelona. I hope it would be with the fans when it's possible because of the pandemic. It would be very strange to play at home there in Barcelona with another shot, but it can happen and we'll see. Good morning, Leo. Good morning, President. People always think that you would never go out of your comfort zone. But today you're here. You remember this little boy in Newell's in Argentina. What was your dream then? When, President, did you know that all of this could be possible? When did you realize with Leonardo that you could have Messi here in Paris? Of course, there are so many things changing since I was in Newell's and then in Barcelona. So many things arrived in my life, so many good and bad experiences as a player and as a person. What I can say today is I've got the same will and the same enthusiasm than when I was a kid. I still feel like this kid. I'm going to give my best to achieve these goals.
I wonder how influential that phone call was that you had with Pochettino and how much he convinced you to come here and what was said.
As I said before, the whole dressing room and the technical staff had an influence on my decision. When we saw it was possible, the first thing we did was talking to them and to Pochettino, because we've been knowing each other for a long time, and because we are both Argentinian, it's easier, of course, because we are close in a way. Of course, we talked, and it's been very easy since the very beginning. And I already said that, but I'm going to repeat. And all the squad and the staff made a lot to help me choose this club.
Bonjour Président, bonjour Léo, bienvenue à Paris.
Good morning, President. Welcome, Leo, to Paris. You said a few days ago, Leo, that you really pictured the end of your career in Barcelona. But I'm sure the challenge doesn't scare you now. So maybe the biggest challenge after almost 20 years in Barcelona is a challenge about your life, the change of country, the new language for you and your family. Is it your biggest challenge? Yes, that's true. The only thing I told Leonardo was I really hoped my family would be at ease in Paris and would feel okay here in Paris, in France. Of course, for me, it's a new experience, but I'm really ready for that. I really want to do it. At the end of the day, it's football, and football is the same in the whole world. I've got friends here, and that's something that's going to make things easier. I'm sure I'm going to get used to my new teammates, and I'm really, really happy. I really want to begin now and to begin to train and know my teammates and have contacts with them, with all of them. I really want to train. I want it to begin now. This is new for us, but I'm ready. In the sporting aspect and for my family, it's an amazing city, it's beautiful, and I'm sure we are going to enjoy this place, so we are quiet and happy. A question for Leonardo, Gazzetta dello Sport. 4 years ago, Verratti could have come to Barcelona, and today, 4 years after that, you meet him here in... Could it be what Xavi... Of course, Verratti is showing the best play, and is showing how big a player he is. Of course, in Barcelona, they really wanted to have him, and today it's the reverse situation. I'm coming to PSG, so he's an incredible person and he's an incredible player. A phenomenon, is spectacular. But not only Marco Verratti, the entire dressing room, these are the best players in the world at all the positions. It's a great squad, and I hope I can help and bring my part to achieve the goals of PSG and my personal goals.
La verdad que increíble todo lo que estoy viendo desde que llegué a París. La gente, una locura, cómo salió a la calle. Desde que salió el comunicado de Barcelona que no seguía, que está en la calle afuera sin haber nada, ya pensando de que ya estaba todo y que me iba para acá y todavía no habíamos ni empezado a hablar y la verdad que impresionante todo este cariño. Es mi primera experiencia fuera de otro club que no sea Barcelona y fueron momentos muy lindos para mí, para mi familia, para los nenes. Así que después de un golpe duro estamos felices otra vez y con ganas de que arranque todo.
Contame cómo lo vivieron, Leo, porque tuviste que hacer un montón de cosas que nunca se te pasó en la cabeza y por ahí tenías que hacer.
Bueno, es lo que te digo, primero fue un momento muy duro, todo lo que viví en Barcelona, esos días difíciles. Después tuve un par de días donde no tenía nada y estábamos hablando y el nerviosismo, la gana de querer arrancar, empezar, tener que entrenar fea y solo y en esa situación que era feo, extraño. Y nada, después cuando se hizo todo, se fue dando todo y se fue hablando y llegando al acuerdo final, fueron cambiando los días, obviamente sin poder superar lo anterior, pero sí avanzando y mirando hacia adelante y con mucha ganas, mucha ilusión de esta nueva etapa.
Esa es la siguiente pregunta, las expectativas en lo personal, en lo deportivo, llegabas a un club nuevo, un vestuario nuevo, una ciudad nueva, ¿cómo convenciste a la patrona, a los chicos? ¿Qué tan importante fue, no sé, venir a París, ir a Disney? No sé, decime vos qué usaste, porque en un momento dijiste que los chicos tenían un grupo de amigos ahí, o sea, tenés que acomodar varias cosas acá.
Un poco de todo, obviamente. El golpe fue duro para toda la familia. En principio, Antonella acompaña donde sea y si bien estaba mal desde el primer momento, bancó y apoyó y preparada para lo que fuese. Los nenes un poco de todo, ¿no? Un poco de la ciudad, de Disney, de París, de la Torre, un poco de todo, ¿no? La verdad era difícil, sobre todo Thiago, que es el más grande y el que más entiende, pero a nivel personal también. Es un vestuario donde conozco, donde tengo amigos, donde conozco a la mayoría de la gente, por lo que se ve afuera un grupo muy sano, muy unido y eso también hace que yo haya tomado decisión, el cuerpo técnico argentino, Se dieron muchísimas cosas, ¿no? Y creo que no había estado mejor que acá en ningún lado. Es una plantilla que está hecha para ganar, para pelear por la Champions, que es el objetivo que yo también hace tiempo a nivel personal, intentar de conseguir otra Champions y poder hacerlo acá sería algo extraordinario para mí en lo personal, para el club que lo busca hace muchos años. Estuvieron muy cerquita los últimos años y ojalá este sea. Bueno, mañana ya empiezo a entrenar después que pase todo esto. Mi familia seguramente vuelve a Barcelona a terminar de acomodar todo hasta que empiece el colegio de los nenes y después juntarnos todos otra vez acá, empezar a jugar, no sé cuándo voy a empezar a jugar, tengo que empezar a entrenar primero, hace un mes que vengo de vacaciones, ponerme bien físicamente y cuando esté arrancaré y no, la verdad que no, sí hablé con Fideo, con Lea, con Ney, después de alguna posibilidad donde poder vivir, colegio de los nenes, pero todavía no tengo nada definido, hay que mirar, conocer y bueno, ya nos acomodaremos.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.